Okay, we're filming. All right, so here we go. So we've each got 2 pounds of fondant, okay? You can do what you want with this. You can marble your cake, you can leave it white, or you can color it. You can use any of the food colorings down there, no matter if they say gel or they say airbrush. You can use anything down there that you think you want to use. You can also, like, say you want to just get a shade of one of your colors. So say you want to make this a lighter shade of your flowers. If you want to use some of the bucket of colors that are down there and take one out, you can take some of the color and knead it in there and get a lighter shade of it. You can also use some of the colors. You can cut part of it and color it and then marble it in there. For me, I'm going to show you marbling. I always do marbling because you guys don't know how to do it, so I'm going to show you. So I took a little bit of the pink because I have a lot of pinks in my colors today, and I have my solid white. When you take it out, you want to knead it. I've already done that, but you want to knead your fondant till it's nice and smooth. If you are going to color, don't get crazy with the colors. The more color you put in there, the more soupier it gets and the harder it is to work with. So say you do want to marble. I'm just going to do a little light amount of pink in there. I'm not going to get too crazy. And I'm going to split this in half. And remember, you want to get this nice and smooth. And we're going to roll that up into a little tube like this. Same thing with this one. I've already kneaded these, but I'm going to get this into a little tube too. And put that on top of it like that. And then I'm going to do this one. Now, if you can marble more than 2 colors. If you say you want to do, and it doesn't have to be white, say you want to marble a yellow and a green together. You can color 2, split it in half and color them, and then you can combine them together. Or say you want your cake to be a solid color. This is your choice. You can do whatever you want. But if you are marbling, I'm going to go like that. I'm just choosing white and pink. But you can't, it's hard to marble 2 dark colors. So you want to have a lighter color and a darker color, or 2 lighter colors. Now I'm just going to twist this, twist it, knead a little bit. If I knead too much, I'm going to lose the marbling. So don't get crazy with the kneading, because otherwise I'll just end up with a solid color. So the more you knead, the more marbling, but I just wanted to have like a little bit of marbling. I want to keep it mostly white, so I'm going to leave it just like that. And that color will come out when I roll it. Now, I need to save some. I need to reserve some for the top layer. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to set it aside in my bag and save it for the top layer. This one, I'm going to take and keep it round. And I'm going to roll it out. We're going to use our rolling pins, and we're going to roll this out. Now, the cake is round, so your dough, you want to stay round. How do you keep it round? By rolling in all directions. See how I start in the middle and I go this way, I go this way, I go back this way. Keeping it round. You can pick it up and turn it, but what you don't want to do is end up with a rectangle or a square. You want to keep it as round as you can. It's just easier. And you don't want to go too thin because it'll be harder to work with and it'll see through the cake. When I get about halfway through, I'll turn it over and see if I like the other side better. Sometimes I do. So this one has more little fading like that. If you do like the other side, start rolling this way. But you want to make sure if you flip it over that you roll a little bit more, because you'll see the creases from the plastic wrap. Now fondant stretches, so you don't have to, you want to make it big enough to drape over your cake, but if it's a little bit short, it's okay because it will stretch.
I notice you're wearing gloves, so we need to wear
I'm wearing gloves to protect the fondant. It's your cake. You don't have to, but I do. You get things, you're sweating, whatever, it just protects your fondant and your cake. Okay, so there we go. I also have this tool, it's called a fondant smoother. They're in the drawer over there in the toolbox, and this will help smooth it out too. We'll use it down here and after it goes onto the cake. Okay, so see how I left that a little bit on the thicker side? That's going to be easier to work with if I do. If I make it too thin, it's going to tear or it's going to seep through your cake. Okay, now I'm going to use the use of a ring to bring my cake higher. So I'm going to take my cake and set it up there. So take your rolling pin, put it into the middle, and don't roll it up, but just flap it over. You're gonna flap it over, and then you're gonna place it over here. You're gonna lift it up. You're gonna bring your fondant and lay it on there, and you're just gonna roll over the cake. Okay? Now it may look a little short in some places, but no big deal. You're just going to secure the top, and you wanna do your larger cake first. Now you'll see what I mean by stretching it. You're gonna pull down gently, and you're gonna iron down. Pull and iron down. When you get these little puckers, you wanna pull them out to the side and iron down. Be very gentle. When I'm pulling, I'm very gentle. I'm not tearing it. But I wanna smooth it with my hand to get it secure. And just keep turning it, pulling it, taking those puckers out. You don't want to cross over and let them flap over because it'll be a crease. And see, I'm a little short here, but I can just still push down, pull down. Got this last little bit. There we go. Now it's all covered, and I'm going to just run my smoother around it. Make it nice and smooth. Push out any bubbles that might happen there. There. Now we're going to take our paring knife. We're going to go underneath the cardboard, and we're going to get rid of everything we don't need. Just spin that around. Not going to throw that away though. We're going to save it for our other cake. There. Now, once I cut that, it gets a little bit rough with the knife, so I'm just gonna smooth that out one last time, making sure everything looks good on that. Go. You wanna make sure there's no fondant stuck on the bottom here. And then we're gonna place it, it's nice and frozen. I like to use frozen cakes because it's easier to work with. It doesn't fall apart when you're working with it. So pick it up, place it onto a 10-inch cardboard circle. I'm gonna set mine, pick the side that you want to be the front. I have more color here, so this is gonna be on the front. If you did have a tear or you have a side that you don't like as much, put that in the back. I'm gonna set that back a little bit so that it gives me a little more room to put my flowers here too. Okay, one down. Now we're going to do the next layer. We're going to take that little extra piece that I left extra. This is the part that I cut off my cake. I'm just going to put this down here and I'm going to put it on there and I'm going to seal that to it like that. So I don't, and I reserve it so I don't lose my marbling. So that's why I reserve a little bit. I'm going to press this out. I'm going to roll this. Once again, just like we did before. Remember, from the center out, changing, going in all directions, keeping it as round as possible. If you're doing this and you do notice that you're no longer a circle and you're a big long rectangle, just roll it back up and roll it out again. It'll be too difficult to get on your cake. I don't need it to be as big. So I'm going to look at the other side and see, oh yeah, I definitely like the other side better. It matches my cake. I'm flipping that over. Next cake is smaller, so I still think I can work with that. There we go. A little more ironing there. Okay, once again, you want to take your next cake, put it up on the ring. Fold it over, and close to you. Secure the top. Start ironing down the sides. Remember, gently pull. You don't want to get creases or tears. You don't want those puckers, so you pull them off to the side. And don't panic. See how I have a little tear there? It's not a big deal. Just pull past it and you just rub it. The nice thing about fondant is it's very forgiving. It will kind of seal together. You just rub with your hands and it'll seal that and fix itself. Okay, once again, once you get that all on there, go around with your smoother again. We're going to remove all our excess. Reserve it, keep it covered. Smooth out again. The nicer you get, the smoother you get it, the nicer it's going to be. If you don't have one of these and you were doing it with your hand, the warmth of your hand is nice too. Be careful if you wear rings or watches; they will tear into your fondant. Okay, and then once again, you're going to decide which side you like the best and put it with your front on the other one. This is nice. And then you have choices. You can center exactly in the middle, or you can set it back a little bit, but you can't be hanging off the cake. You want to be on the cake. The reason why you would go back a little bit is to give you more room for your flowers. So I'm going to be a little off center there. It's just enough to give me a little more space. I'm going to push down. Remember, I have those straws in there to support the weight of it. There we go.
You're leaving the cardboard.
The cardboard is married to it forever. Think of it as the floor. If we didn't have it on there, then it would just be caked there and wouldn't have the support that we need. Then the straws would go cut through this and go right up through the cake. So you've got to have a floor. Okay, so it stays like that. Same thing when when they cut and serve a cake, they don't cut through the whole cake. They take one layer off at a time and they cut each layer. Okay? All right. So now we've got our cake stacked. It's on there. The next step that you must do for your cake, for your grading, is your band, your ribbon. So we're going to take and do a ribbon. So you, I usually take, I'm going to take and use some of my solid color, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a band right in the middle here. Or you can do it in the bottom, or you can do it both. I only do one so that it don't waste your time. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to roll it into a tube and flatten it a little bit. And I'm going to roll it nice and long. Everyone always asks, how long should it be? Long enough to get around the cake. So I kind of eyeball it, but if you really wanted to figure it out, you can take the size, say, so it's, if you were wrapping it around this one, this is a 6-inch cake, so it would be 6 times pi. And that should give you the circumference of what you need. I don't get that complicated. I just eyeball it, and it always seems to work out. The thing you want this to be evenly rolled. You don't want it to be thick in some places, so make sure you're going all the way over and rolling back so you get it nice and even, the best you can. I'm going to give you guys choices with this too. You can leave it smooth or you can texture it. I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. So to get a nice band, we're going to take and use our yardstick. We're going to lay that on there. And I like using this. When you use a knife, it kind of tears through and makes pull marks, so the wheel cuts nice and smooth. So like I said, you could leave it all smooth like this, or you can texture it. I have a couple different textures you can choose from. You can choose, this one I like because it makes kind of a pattern, a little, like a ribbon pattern. So it does like a little pattern like that. You can do, this looks kind of like a little bit of a, like leather, little rocky leather look. This obviously is, you can do it in either direction, but it gives you little stripes when you press it in there. So do something like that. This one, of course, looks like stones. Press that on there. You get like a little pattern, stone pattern, or bricks. We have bricks. So that's your choices on that, or smooth. Okay? And this is another little leather one too. So these will be over here. I'll put everything over here for you guys to choose from. Should I over this one?
Like that one.
You like that? Yeah, that one's nice. Everyone likes it. Okay, so when you're doing this, you want to try and hold it nice and straight and push in so you get your design, and then you want to match this up again. So make sure you're matching it. There we go. Now when it's time to do this, call me over, I'll help you if you think you need help with this, because you kind of need 4 hands if you never did it before. So keep your cake close to you and start in the back. Adjust that a little bit. Because you want to start in the back, so you end in the back. Pick that up carefully. Lay that right on there. And the nice thing is fondant sticks to fondant, so you don't have to add anything. It always ends up just long enough. And then I don't want to cross over. I want to cut and make it match, so I pull that out. And this is the back, so a little seam is okay. But see how it's nice and even, smooth? So we're good on that. Okay. The next thing that you have to, that's required for your cake is your pearl border. So you're gonna take, I made royal icing for you. Put this closer. So I'm going to, I have it over here. This is enough for everybody. A little goes a long way. So don't fill your bag so full. And you have to keep a wet towel on it, because otherwise your royal icing will dry out. But see that little bit? That is plenty. I'll put this in here and have extra. And this will be enough to pipe and glue my flowers to the cake. Get my bag cut. So when you're doing your pearl border, and I'll show you this again, when it comes to your cake, I'll put some on the back of the cake and get you started. So when you're doing your pearl border, you have a choice to do it on both layers, or you can just do it on one or the other. You can do it on all of them if you want. So I'm gonna put mine right here, and I'm gonna start at the band there, and I'm just gonna create a pearl, build it up, and pull to the side. You'll see it in just a second. That's all. And like I said, you have the choice of putting on both layers. It does look nice put on both layers. I'm just not going to waste the time doing it, so you guys can get to your cakes. So when I pull to the side, I stop the pressure. So you want to just build up the pearl, stop, and pull to the side. And that gives you kind of like a pearl necklace look. You don't want the peaks to be out towards you. You want them to be, see how it ends right there? See how it's kind of to the side? Then you want to start piping again where it ended. And that's the only piping that I require on the cake, but if you want to do other piping, sometimes people like to do pearls on the side. You can, if that's something you wanted to do. But it's not required. Okay, so we got a pearl border, we got a band. All the requirements have been met for this cake as far as that goes. Now, next and final thing is your flowers. This is the hardest part, because you have to decide now which flowers to use and how to put them on. What I don't want you to do is just throw your flowers everywhere covering the whole cake. You want to come up with a nice pattern So either, one of the things that people do is they cascade. So they'll cascade from one side to the other. So they'll go from here down, or they'll go from the opposite side, or sometimes they'll just put their flowers on the very top, or they'll do a little bouquet here, or they'll do a little trail here, or they do pinpoints. They'll do here, here, here. So you want to create a pattern. You don't want to just throw up flowers all over your cake, okay? So before you make them permanent, remember I said the royal icing is what's going to glue them on there. But before we decide to put them on there, we're going to take a look at the cake and decide where we want them to be. So, and which ones we want to use. So I'll go ahead and you want to start with the large flowers first. So you kind of look at them and say, what is it I really want to get on there? What will look the best? Maybe I'll take my lily and I kind of set it there and go, oh, does that look nice there? Does it fit in that spot? Do I want to start further back? Do I want to put it more here in the middle? So you kind of, before you make it permanent, you kind of play around and look at it. So maybe I'll use my rose also up there. Maybe I want that rose coming up. I can do a little bit further back there with the rose. And then find a nice one that I think goes great in the center. Kind of seeing, so I'll kind of show you guys. See, I'm trying to create that line. And then I'm going to fill in, once I decide I like those, I'll permanently make them there, and I'll fill in anything else I want to put in there. I have a couple little items too, like butterflies. If I want that butterfly, I want to make sure I create a spot that I think will fit in there and put the flowers around it. Maybe I want the butterfly to be back here. I think it might go really nice there. So maybe I'll get that in there too. Okay, so once I'm like, yep, I know what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my royal icing, and this is always hard, so I'll come around and you guys can ask me like, what do you think about this, or I don't know where to begin. I'll help you out with that decision. So once I'm happy, I'm going to take, and I'm just going to use the glue, so I'm going to put a little glue back there, enough to make sure it's touching. And the royal icing, the nice thing, it's like cement, so it will, once it dries rock hard. So it's soft right now, but it will eventually get hard and stay there. And it always stays soft enough to keep all the flowers in place. So, a little bit of icing. You don't want to see the icing when you're done. You may see it from the back, and we can hide that. My rose there in place, but when I put everything on in the leaves, it should be hidden. You shouldn't see that. Get my butterfly in place because it's kind of heavy, so I'm going to use this kind of support the weight of that there. So once I get my larger things on there, then I'm going to start putting my leaves on. And my leaves shouldn't just be anywhere. They should be tucked underneath the flowers. You know, I pick the ones that you really like and that will work well, like putting behind the flowers like that. This one has a nice little edge to it, so it kind of curves with the cake there. Or it would look nice here because it has a little lift. Once you know you like it, same thing. Put a little icing back there to make it glue. You guys are still allowed to talk. And try not to keep them too flat. I always like to give them lifted up and sometimes give them a little more height behind our flowers. And if you do want that and you're like, it won't stay up, you actually push it right into the cake. The cake is soft enough to where you'd be able to, you can take your knife and cut in there and make a little hole. And everyone's always afraid to do that. Don't be afraid, it's just cake. You make a little hole and you'll be able to get your leaf right in there. Get it standing up in the way you wanted it to stand up. So you can see where I'm going now? Everyone see that? So we're getting there. We're getting, and the thing about the leaves is the leaves tie everything together. They make it nice and clustered and like a bouquet would be. Sometimes you need a little smaller one, but just find those little gaps that will make sense with the flowers and your flow. And then the last thing, once you get your leaves on, then we'll start working on the small flowers. So what the small flowers do is they kind of cluster and they bring everything together. in the little gaps that you can't fit bigger things in. And we make so much, and this is the thing, you get excited and you want everything on the cake, but you can't. It's a 2-tier cake. You're not gonna be able to fit everything on there, so you're gonna want to pick the best and use that. And I only make you make so much because you guys are practicing too. So I also made a couple little sticks and vines. If I wanted to get those on, that would make sense with my butterfly kind of landing on there. So I'm gonna put a couple of those in there where I think they might look nice. Remember, try to, if you get a little icing, clean that up. You wanna stay as clean. You wanna work as clean as possible. That's what makes things look elegant and as nice as possible too. This kind of stuff leaves a little more design in there too. A little swirling out there. That looks pretty nice coming out there. So it's pretty fun. You guys will get excited about doing this. I only grade from the front, so in the back you see I have these gaps. I can put leaves back there, and you can do the same thing. Just because it's there, they probably won't really be seen from the front, but if it like just bothers you that you have gaps there, you just put some leaves back there just to hide that. You'll have plenty. Maybe you want your rose to be, or your flowers to be lifted up a little bit more. Helps to make some height. So I'm gonna add a couple more things, and then I have met the requirements for this cake. And it's pretty much finished. Do you guys have any questions? Yeah? No? You guys are good? Okay, so yes, go ahead.
Back to the flowers.
Yes.
So like
Oh,
you just
small
put your
flowers.
big flowers, you didn't put small.
Thank you. So the small flowers, I'm gonna take my favorites here. I wanna add a little bit more white in there, so I'm gonna just put a little bit where clustered in there. And when I do them, I'll usually try to group them real close together. Like I'll put groups of 3 in the little spots, staying within my line, which you'll see in just a second. So see how I still, can you see my little cluster there, my little bouquet? So I'm gonna stay there. I'm not gonna go way over here outside of that line, but I can continue it and put a few over here. So maybe I'm gonna do like, I really like some of these little ones here. And I'll cluster a little bit more coming down off of the butterfly. And it'll kind of make them fall off the cake a little bit, continuing my line. But real close together. Really? During the video? Sounds like you just flushed the toilet. Let's get one of these bigger ones in there. Okay, so see what I mean by the little flowers? Kind of just continuing my trail there, grouping them together. Let's see if we got that. There we go. Okay, there you go, you guys. There is the cake. Good luck to everybody. Work on your fondant. Knead it. Get the color first before you get your station set up. Remember, you need plastic wrap. Double wrap your table. Double wrap it because it does tear easily. Okay? Alrighty.